half. Genge, Luke Cowan, and Dickey and Will Stewart, that's a powerful front row.
No Rassie Erasmus at Twickenham this weekend. How will that affect the Springboks?
Well, he might come in the laundry box, mate. I think that's been done before, hasn't it? It used to be Tottenham manager.
Hey, not Spurs, we'd never do that.
No, I'm sure he'll get into there somewhere, mate.
Do you think he was right to receive the...
Look, I'm not going down that track. The only thing I'd say is that, yeah, we've got to respect the referees, we've got to look after the referees. They're an important part of our game. And so what's happened's happened.
The long pass out, space here for North. Well, North looks like he may have even taken a bit of a knock to the head there. Well, the first contact is with the head.
That's dangerous. That is dangerous. That is a red card. I don't think there's any other option.
So just back.
All right.
So it's a clear shoulder charge. You made direct contact with the head. Red card.
Well, in fairness to Tuolangi,
Quality opposition. At the end, we're 13 against 16. It's hard. We hung in there. I thought we were brilliant performance by the team. You know, we had guys. Two guys didn't train till Wednesday. We had one guy played 80 minutes for the first time for a long time. So really our resources were tested. We got out enough in the second half. We had that setback early in the second half. I thought our recovery emotionally for that was outstanding, and then we went on and played a good tough game of rugby.
13 against 16, did you say?
Yep.
Who was the 16?
You worked that out.
Do you think he was right to receive the...
Look, I'm not going down that track. The only thing I'd say is that, yeah, we've got to respect the referees, we've got to look after the referees. They're an important part of our game. And so what's happened's happened.
What did you make of the red card?
Well, I just find it bizarre. You know, I usually don't comment, but I can't see how you can tackle a guy. So you might as well just say, if someone's tackled like that, you let him go. Because how else are you supposed to tackle him? Like this bit about where your arms are. What a load of rubbish. Like Manny was trying to kill the tackle. That's the only thing he was trying to do. Absolute rubbish. So I'm sorry. I've broken my rule.
Do you think the directives are wrong? Or
Well, I just think there's no common sense applied in that situation. Now, clearly the guy's falling. There's a good chop tackle being Manu's coming over the top to kill the tackle, and he's doing everything that's he's supposed to be doing. He gets red carded. Like, come on.
I've had a word.
So we're coming back to mop up this maul as Hill gets a big mitt full of Swain's luscious locks, and then it gets a touch scrappy on the other side.
The chat on the run is enough.
Yeah. Got a yellow card to 5 1. Yes. And then a red card to 4 goal. Do you agree with that where we're going with this, BP? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll deal with the first thing. We need 5 white. Okay, so obviously there's a hair pull, so it's a yellow card for that. We need 4.
2 yellows?
No, it's a head pull. Mate, obviously there's
So
the hair
Johnny
pull,
Hill,
right? He's going to get yellow carded
gone
for that,
for 10.
Head butted him, red card.
And Darcy Swain gone for the night.
We're committed to win the series 2-1.
What do you make of the red card and everything that surrounded Johnny Hill?
Well, as I said, I never comment on those, mate.
I think you said said on the television he thought the referee was trying to make up for it with some decisions.
Well, that always happens, mate. You know, you look at the history of the game, whenever you get a red card, the referee evens it up. That's the history. Yeah, social reciprocality. That happens, mate. That's normal. And we've got to be good enough to handle that.
So you don't think you got the rugby agreement?
No, I didn't say that, mate. But that happens in every game of rugby. Every game of rugby I've seen. A team gets a red card and the opposition evens it up, tries to even up, because they're nice blokes, referees. I'm not criticising the referee at all. I'm not using it as an excuse. That's just the reality of rugby.
Do you think he's right to receive the...
Look, I'm not going down that track. The only thing I'd say is that, yeah, we've got to respect the referees. We've got to look after the referees. They're an important part of our game. And so what's happened.
What is it about playing against 14 men that makes it particularly...
I think I just spoke about that, mate. You didn't hear me? I'll say it again. It's all right. I'll say it again. I think when you play against 14 men, the referee has a significant impact on the game, and you've got to be good enough to understand what that is. And we weren't good enough to understand what that is, and therefore we paid the price.
What's the referee's impact?
Well, he evens it up, mate.
How?
Well, he helps the team with the red card. That's just normal nature.
You've probably had 3 or 4 days now to reflect on the water polo match in Hong Kong. How do you look at it now? Because I know at the time you were a little bit irate that the game got called off.
Not much difference, mate.
Not much difference.
So I just find it very disappointing. It's a game of rugby. We all went there to play rugby. Hong Kong guys went there to play rugby, and within 8 minutes of the game, we've got people trying to stop the game.
Yeah.
I just find it unbelievable, mate. It's a winter sport.
Yeah, it's a winter sport, but it didn't feel like winter. It was about 32 degrees and rain.
Yeah, but you're supposed to play in rain. That's the whole thing.
Did you...
We played a game 2 years ago in Fiji, and the conditions were far worse. Fiji wanted to play, we wanted to play, and we played.
Yeah. Did you have any idea before the game from the refs that there was a chance that a decision would need to be made?
Well, I could tell before the game the ref was nervous. So the problem was the ref was nervous and Hong Kong really didn't want to play. Now, I can understand from Hong Kong point of view, yeah, they get 2 points, they come second in the Asian Rugby Championship. So the ends justify the means.
Yeah, we had earlier on the show today Andy Hall, Hong Kong coach, and he said it's a very hollow victory. There's nothing; they don't take anything out of that at all. But I guess Japan had a lot to lose there. I guess they don't even put an asterisk against this game because that's the end, I think, of a 12-match winning streak over Hong Kong, and you've dropped a couple of clicks in the rankings. Does that rile you up even more?
Well, it's unbelievable, mate. So we don't lose a game and we go down in the world ranking. That shows you just how much little thought was put into cancelling the game.
Yep.
Like, it's bloody incredible, mate. I've had enough of Asian rugby, mate. I'm never going to Hong Kong again to play rugby. That's it, mate. And I mean it. Seriously, mate. I'll go there to shop or eat dumb sums, but I'm not going there for rugby. It's a bloody joke, mate.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, mate.
Do you think he's right to receive the...
Look, I'm not going down that track. The only thing I'd say is that, yeah, we've got to respect the referees. We've got to look after the referees. They're an important part of our game. And so what's happened.
Do you think he's right to receive the...
Look, I'm not going down that track. The only thing I'd say is that, yeah, we've got to respect the referees. We've got to look after the referees. They're an important part of our game. And so what's happened.
Look, there's been so much said about that sort of stuff. The only thing I'm disappointed in World Rugby's statement is that they've kind of inadvertently dragged us into it. You know, we've tried to, we think, maintain as much integrity as we can in terms of we haven't been commenting on the referee. We never questioned the TMO or integrity of the TMO. The only question we asked is that why hadn't World Rugby put a contingency plan in place that if people couldn't travel or if people had got sick, and that was the only question that we had asked. So yeah, I'm really disappointed with a part of the statement where we've kind of been, they've sort of said both sides have been making comments and been critical of the officials. I'd like someone to show me where we have done that, because we've looked through everything and we can't see any instances where we've been critical of the officials. In fact, I think we've praised the officials.
Just possible foul play review.
Play on!
Thank you.
This foul play that's been looked at. I think charging in with the shoulder, that's why he could be in trouble for that.
We're looking at 9 green, is that it?
That's right.
Okay. All right. There's no clear attempt to wrap. You're quite lucky because we can't confirm there's any contact with the head, but it's still a body blow. You've got to wrap, foul play. And it's a third penalty.
So Faf de Klerk dismissed.
Hey Warren, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah, just a couple of them, like minor things. I'm sure you're much more happy with the hit out again and it was a good test, but a couple of the things that the ref, Gatland go after that look at Chris Harris, maybe got late hit in the lead up to when Lewis going to try to close to try, and then the Faf de Klerk contact, he got a yellow card for. Just what were your thoughts about it?
I can't really remember the Chris Harris one. I definitely thought that there was contact with the head on the Faf de Klerk one. The officials saw it differently, and you just got to roll with it really in terms of that. They ended up down to 13 men in that situation. They gave away, a huge number of penalties, particularly in their own 22. I from myself reviewing, I thought there was definitely head contact, but he's given a yellow card, and you've got to accept that decision. A part of the statement where we've kind of been, they've sort of said both sides have been making comments and been critical of the officials. I'd like someone to show me where we have done that, because we've looked through everything and we can't see any instances where we've been critical of the officials. In fact, I think we've praised the officials.
The Faf de Klerk yellow card, do you have any concerns about that? Because that might have been a red back at home.
Well, I can't understand when the comments were that there was no contact with the head. There was, someone was watching a different picture to me. So a part of the statement where we've kind of been, they've sort of said both sides have been making comments and been critical of the officials. I'd like someone to show me where we have done that, because we've looked through everything and we can't see any instances where we've been critical of the officials. In fact, I think we've praised the officials. Yeah, I agree. I thought it looked reckless to me, no arms, and there was definitely, he's hit the arm first and then the shoulder, but there's definitely head on the head contact. So we've got a meeting with the referees tomorrow, and just to get a little bit more clarity on that, just so that what we want is some clarity so that we get complete consistency.
You can't cite or anything. I mean, that's a done deal. That's finished, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they have a citing commissioner who looks at those things. So it'd be interesting to see what the referees come back with and what other people that have looked at it come back with in terms of what the recommendations were for that incident.
In the opening quarter,
But playing with a penalty advantage, they came very close to getting their first try of the game. Patchell chipped it into the corner. The ball came off Evans' knee, but did Anscombe, under pressure from Anthony Watson, get downward pressure? The TMO, Glenn Newman, was called upon, and he deemed that Anscombe didn't clearly ground the ball, and the decision was no try. But they had the consolation of play coming back for the earlier penalty, and Patchell slotted it over for 12 points to 3, and that's how it stayed.
It looked like a try to me. Everyone else that I've spoken to have seen it looks like a clear try, you know. So that to me, it's disappointing that you get that decision wrong, and it's such a pivotal moment in the game, such a big decision, you know. So they fly a guy over from New Zealand to do a TMO, and there's one big call to make, and unfortunately I think he's made a terrible mistake, and that's, at this level, that's pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever made a comment on the TMO. Yeah, I think it's one part of the game that's done really well in rugby. We've got a guy up there that's a referee. He's got time to make a decision, and if he can't make the right decision, then what do we do?
Well, we thought it was forward, you know, the referee made the decision himself without the TMO. I doubt he would have made that decision himself. It was the All Blacks playing, so.
Well, by less of the law, because the hands were back, it wasn't technically a ball.
I don't think did the hands go back? It was lateral, wasn't it? Yeah, it was kind of like you could argue with, did it kind of look like the hands were forward? I don't look. Yeah, you need one of those calls, don't you, to go your way, and we're up 10-0, and you look at it again, and the 3 points under our post where Hibberd gets penalised for going off his feet, and you go, you know, that's tough, and Halfpenny hits the post, and
Yes, there is.
Marius Yonker's saying there is head contact. Just you can see Ferguson's head rocking back there.
Hold on yet. Here we go.
Alatoa, his right arm, black wrap
There we
bandage
go,
around
Roman.
it.
So there's definitely contact made to the face of the Scottish player.
Okay, there's no force there, but it's clearly on the head with the swinging arm. We cancel the try and we go for a yellow card and penalty kick against three gold.
That is correct.
Okay. Code 3.
You can't be serious.
I am serious. I am serious, Michael. It's not my action.
Because you're the ref.
Call.
I'll get him. Mate, I can't believe that. What are you going to call?
Number 3. Call number 3, please, Michael. We can talk after the game about my decision if you want, but now that's clearly.
Katoa, but
I know it's a big decision, but who did that? Who did that? Is it me or is it him?
He didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's clearly a swinging arm. It's a big call, I understand, but it's a clear and a head contact. That's a yellow card with no force, and we cancel the try.
as a result, his arm was out to clear something. It kind of brushed Matt Fagerson's face as a result. I think it is possibly a penalty.
It's not a penalty try, but for me it's a yellow card. Sorry? Why? Yellow card.
No, for me there is a problem, right?
Yeah, but it's coming behind him. For me it's the last defender. For me it's a yellow card because he's the last defender.
Well, it's interesting that Nika. Amash Kuvili, the Georgian
So we're seeing that as a
assistant,
deliberate knock-on because his arms are not
seem to be
natural
agreeing.
position. We're not seeing that as a tackle. He's the last defender. It's not a penalty try.
Taking his reflex.
What's that?
Accidental reflex.
No, for me it's a yellow card because he's the last defender.
Just one thing, mate, with the game, we're going to stop it for every time for TMO.
What's that? If it's an important decision, then yeah. 11, Marius, yeah. Yeah, 11, please.
Referee Mike Adamson, though, totally convinced.
Yeah. So you're under the non-natural position. It's a deliberate knock-on, and you're the last defender, so it's a yellow card.
And the officials have been very, very busy here in the first quarter.
Correct, and there's no clear evidence of that ball going forward.
I agree with that. Do you agree with that? Hands clearly moving backwards, it's not clearly not.
And of course, because the try has been given on field, it has to be proved to be going forward. If there's no evidence of it forward, decision on field stands.
So for me it has but it's slapped backwards, so it's not a knock-on.
I suppose, Dave, just watching you on the broadcast then, you used the word horrendous to describe the officiating. You're not the kind of guy who often, I don't think you have ever seen you talk about officiating like that since you've been coach. Well, what in particular, what decisions were you irked by? And can you just give us a general overview on your thoughts on the match as well?
Yeah, you're right. I make a real point not to criticise referees, and we hand reports in and we seek a bit of clarity around things. But we did that after the Scotland game. Got a lot of apologies during the week. In a game that was a 2-point ball game, and the same TMO who made a massive decision in that game as well. So I just think our boys deserve better than that. And, that's the reason why I spoke up after the game. So, it's not going to help us getting apologies during the week. The game's gone.
Do you have an issue with the red or with Curly's yellow or with their knockdown, which ended up being a knockback, or which of those decisions was it all?
No, I don't have an issue with a red card because that's the way it's being refereed nowadays. Rob's responsibility is to drop his height in the tackle, and he didn't, and had a head clash. So you got to take that on the chin. Look, I wasn't happy with Kirtley's yellow card. He's making an effort to wrap two arms. It clips his hand on the way through. They find a yellow card for that, and yet Tompkinson slaps the ball down in open play. Somehow they say that didn't go forward when he's facing forward, and they get 7 points out of it instead of getting a yellow card and us getting a penalty. So there were lots of decisions today I'm not going to go into, but I felt they had a massive bearing on the game, and our boys played with a lot of courage and a lot of heart tonight, and we almost did enough to win that. Incredibly disappointed with the officiating. Obviously, we'll follow up with a report back to Georges.
Dave, I understand they're completely different circumstances. Rassie Erasmus' attack on World Rugby a couple of months ago, but is there a fear from coaches, players, that if you do say something, you might also cop punishment?
Oh, look, no doubt. But how do I support our team by biting my lip again and us getting apologies during the week? It doesn't change the result, and like I said, the boys ended out of a tank for each other, and we deserved a better result than that. And so, I felt it was important that I spoke my mind. And as Sam mentioned, I've been a professional coach for over 20 years. I've never gone on the media and had a crack at a referee or the referee group, but I felt I had to tonight.
Yeah, and is there a different circumstance when you're doing this in a post-match press conference as opposed to going through it all days later and putting it out in public domain there?
Oh yeah, look, I'm not trying to compare the situation. I've made a decision to voice our disappointment, immediately after the game, because it's not emotional, it's not overreacting, but I thought it's important that we stated our feelings.
Dave, can I ask, generally, how do you find the officiating going? You mentioned you've been a coach for a long time, in the game for a long time, but this involvement of the TMO, the way the game's refereed at the moment, are you fine with that overall?
Look, I think from a TMO perspective, the reason the TMO was brought in was to get the right decision. And, it's going to slow the game down, but you get to look at it and make the right decision. I reflect back on Marius's decision to sin bin Alan Alatora in Scotland. Now, during the week, we were told, no, it was a wrong decision, it wasn't a yellow card. So they're big moments, and getting an apology during the week is not good enough. So I think if we're going to have the TMO, there's no excuse for not getting the decision right. And we saw another example of that tonight.
So what would you see? What would you like to see done? Like, would you? Is it a matter of just trying to make these guys more accountable? Like, what options do you, like, as coaches, do you have to try and make the system, improve the system? So, because it does seem like we're deteriorating further and further down this path. The more the years go on, the more that TMO is getting involved, the more these decisions like this are happening. So, what from your perspective, what action can actually be taken?
Well, everyone's accountable, or they should be. Certainly we are. And you want to make sure that the officials are also accountable. So, Marius' decision a couple of weeks ago decided a game, yet he was appointed again. So is there any accountability around guys making errors that are deciding test matches?
10. I told you to... Time off. I will explain it. No! Time off.
Come on. No, move back.
Time is off.
Move back. No, I switch on the time.
Time is off.
Can I explain it?
Time is off. I'm not wasting time. I'm about to kick it.
With the captain.
Yes.
Come.
So,
Push back.
well, big moment. When you kick this, he was just about to kick it.
No, captain, please push back. I said first, you play, we play.
So, Dave, that was a pretty extraordinary way to finish the game. What was your understanding of what happened with Bernard Foley and time wasting?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Bernard after the game, so yeah, he was under the impression that time was off. The referee told him to play. At no stage did he, or was he told, or did he believe that he was going to call a scrum from that? I mean, most situations, the clock's off and the clock stays off. So it sounds like the clock went off and then he started it again. But as we know, a team scores a try late and you take your time getting back to halfway, they just stop the clock and wait till you kick off. So, yeah, a disappointing thing from our point of view. It's a fantastic game of footy and we should be celebrating the game as opposed to talking about a ref decision in the last minute.
Do you feel though that have you ever seen something like that, Dave, in a game like that?
No. I haven't seen a decision like that at any level.
Did you know it was a rule? I mean, was it something you were aware of that was, was it kind of, does it ever come across your path at all?
Oh, so the rule book's complex, isn't it? I'm sure there's something in there somewhere that is never refed upon. So, look, it's an incredibly disappointing way to finish because.
So have you ever seen a game end like that across your career?
Well, I've played 120 odd tests and I've never seen it, and it'd be interesting if that would be the call at 10 minutes into the game. Same thing, but and then the day he made a call.
Did you know it was a rule in a World Cup final?
Oh, you'll have to ask someone else, mate.
Did you know it was a rule?
Yeah, well, there's you know the rules there. There's plenty of rules that I believe that aren't ruled on throughout the game. There's that many rules, mate. So
I think you've got to have a feel. You've got to have a feel for the game and the situation. And so if you feel a team's wasting time, stop the clock. And then they kick it out and then you play the game. Let the teams decide the outcome. So, just a real lack of feel for the occasion.
Dave, you also mentioned some of those 3 yellow cards. Did you have any problems with any of them, or did you go more fair?
No, not really. I mean, I'm not convinced about Darcy Swain's. It's certainly nothing intentional, and ironically, he got neck rolled prior to him cleaning out, but that wasn't picked up. So, I'll let the other ones are regarded as cynical. Fair enough. It's the way they see it.
Peter Steph du Toit. England trying to ruck through the middle with Cruz. It's loose, but it's not forward. And Esterhuizen tries to bring his nation forward again. Oh, Farrell.
Well, is that a shoulder? Is that a tackle?
Come crashing to the floor. Williams gets...
I'm sorry, but
replay's on the screen now.
It doesn't matter what you are. That is not an attempted tackle. One shoulder, the other arm's away. He'll be very lucky if he gets away with that.
It's a decision that could decide the match.
Yeah, it's a big collision, I agree. I don't think it's a clear shoulder for me.
Referee
okay.
Thinks it's okay from England's point of view. So does Ben Whitehouse, his assistant.
I believe there's enough of a wrap on the far side for it to be a fair tackle. That's the game.
Farrell believes there's enough of a wrap, and that is a wrap. Good attack in the space here for Rodder. Somehow Farrell, the England captain, got in.
Again, but
just went a little early. Wasn't cynical.
It's an amazing save from Owen Farrell, but there's no left shoulder there. That's a penalty, and if that's a penalty,
well, the Australian players have seen that, and they are waving their arms towards the referee.
That's a penalty try, Mars. They've looked very dangerous indeed.
doesn't matter if it's physical or not, he's just shoulder charging our player, which is dangerous.
I thought your ball carrier also dropped the shoulder there.
I want to make it clear, obviously, England were the better team, deserved to win. They had us under pressure for many moments of the game, and I thought we resisted really well. So I don't want it to be seen like a carry-on. But the justification that Rodder tried to take him on with his shoulder is ludicrous. That's what the referee said. That's what you do when you carry the ball. So I went to the referees meeting that they had here in the first week before the Wales game, and they referred back to the Owen Farrell tackle against South Africa. And the referees left Angus Gardner hanging out to dry by saying that that should have been a penalty, right in front of all the coaches. And now, if that's a penalty, this is 3 penalties. Just saw it on the at the time, but I'm sure the match review will pick it up. You know, they couldn't miss it. It was pretty in the open, so you know, it'd be pretty hard to miss for the match review guy. Well, I was bitterly disappointed, to be honest. I'm on record with the referees boss Alan Roland about the treatment to our captain and to our players by Romain Poit and also by Nigel Owens over this last year. I'm not quite sure why, but there was a time there in the game, in a break in play, where the national captain of Australia was asking the referee when might be an opportunity for me to talk to you, and he just absolutely ignored him. And yeah, he's got the whistle, I understand, but there's a place where that guy has an opportunity, the captain has an opportunity to speak to the referee. And the referee may not like the captain personally, that might be his prerogative, but he has to afford him that opportunity if he's affording it to his opponents. And I think that attitude showed right through when David Pocock was being called off by the other referee for an HIA test. The referee wouldn't stop the game. The players almost went straight through the doctor, even though he was requested by the players to stop so the player could go off. So I don't know if it's subconscious or not, but it's there, and it's got to be dealt with, because that can't be going on if the opponent can have every player discussing with the referee. Now, when no one's saying anything bad to him, if they've got predetermined position on our players. I asked Alan Roland, I saw him last week in Sydney, and he said no, that's a surprise to me if it is, you know. But it's pretty blatant to anyone listening to the refs is, I would say.
And stay up, okay? We are the Dynamo check. Yes, Ben?
Well, clear words from Romain Poit there. An update from the sideline. Dan Bigger.
Picture. I want you to look at the ball carrier, which is goal number 12 here. Enters left forearm.
Samu Kerevi leading with the forearm is the accusation.
Well, I think there's a slight difference. I mean, if it hits the neck or head area, the throat, it's an issue. But does that forearm leave his body? Does he lead with it, or does it come after the initial contact?
Went up in the throat of the players, but that wasn't deliberate and like a dangerous for play. Are you happy to play a penalty kick for that?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Just reckless?
Correct.
And penalty kick against 12 Australia?
12 goal, correct.
Okay.
So it is deemed to be leading with the forearm, but a penalty only.
7?
Yep.
1.
We'll hear what it says to the captain, but
I feel slightly sorry for Samu Kerevi because
it's not led with the arm, it's come up after the contact.
And the tackler was going high.
It's not the forearm straight on the chest and on the head. He had the forearm there, but afterwards you push your opponent with the forearm and touching the throat in the second time. That will be just a penalty kick for that, and just be careful now with that. Okay, this is the third penalty. We had an advantage for high tackle there. We have another foul place there, and we have another one there. Please just make sure your players stay in the low and don't go for the foul play again.
Nice question.
Yeah.
Should we not run into the tackle anymore because we can't get anything there?
Yeah.
Like that is terrible tackle technique, and like he's just done a very good carry. So we can't carry if that's going to be the ruling. We'll get pulled from these guys all day.
This is my call. This is my call. You cannot touch the throat of your opponent, and even if you are pushing him. Okay, that's about the security. We go just for a penalty kick because everything went not straight on the throat. Okay.
You're going to keep it tucked.
Yeah, and push on the chest. Okay, because you touch the throat. That's the end of the story. That's our decision.
Nice touch by Samu Karevi.
No problem. Could you just give your perspective on the incident involving Reece Patchell in the first half? It was obviously a bit of a strange one, and it led to a penalty and then a try, and the conversation you had with the referee over that.
Karevi
with
incident? I can't remember word for word my discussion with him. I don't know how to carry into a player. As a player, I'm trying to make a dominant carry, and he's used poor tackle tech and fallen back. I don't know. I just don't know what Samu could have done there. So I was just asking in future, because the decision was made. That's all right. What could we do to make that not happen again? And that was the discussion that me and Roman were having.
Thank you. Follow up. Get the microphone again, please. Thank you.
I just follow that then and say, was there what feedback did you get, and what did you learn to maybe take into the future?
Oh, it was just he kept referring back to the incident itself, which is fine. Moved on.
Michael Cheika, what's your take on Roman and Michael and Samu's talk about the tackle technique, the carry technique? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was pretty funny because I thought I'd seen that tackle before. It could have been Reece Hodge. I'm not sure, but when our guy makes that tackle and has the high tackle framework in his head, he gets suspended. And when this guy doesn't think about the high tackle framework, we get penalised. So you've seen it anyway. You don't need me to, like, as a rugby player, as a former player, I'm embarrassed about that. As a rugby player, I'm embarrassed about that.
Just on that conversation though, were you guys aware of that you can't fend, but and you shouldn't lead with your elbow and your forearm? Samu's done it a little. He did it in Perth.
Oh, look, that wouldn't have come. I don't know every directive. Like, there's a fair few of them that come out, but I don't know if. I think he may have said he lifted his arm into the chest. I don't know.
Yeah.
If that's illegal or not. To be honest, like, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know the rules anymore. Honestly, don't know the rules anymore.
For both Michaels, it's Juliano Passini from Alma Rugby in Brazil. In Brazil, football is or people not too hard. Is rugby getting softer?
Here's a tough one, right? Very tough.
Yes.
You got to take care, mate. You got to look after players, but not to an extreme where you're looking after players just for doctors and lawyers. You got to look after players for players.
Michael, just with all that's been said about the tackle stuff and how it was refereed today, do you feel like this World Cup has got a serious problem on its hands? If you're one of the top coaches in the game and you're saying you don't feel like you know the laws,
well, the first wrong thing you've said then is I'm one of the top coaches in the game. I've got my doubts about that because I don't understand anymore. Yeah, it's not, mate. They all seem spooked. Like, everyone seems worried about. Like, they're all worried about stuff so much. I'm not sure why they're worried. Players aren't worried. Like, but then it's affecting everything else on the field as well. Decisions on all types of crazy stuff. And then I heard that the English guy got off at the suspension thing. You know, I go, wow. So, you know, I haven't really said anything there, have I? I just made a whole bunch of... But, like, it shows, if you're not sort of confused, then, you know, maybe the lights going out at the end was a bit of a symbol.
I can't speak for the administrators, but I guess they would say they're trying to protect the players for the players' sake.
And mate, the administrators are spooking the referees. Referees are worried about making the wrong decision. And they're becoming ultra cautious about everything, and it's not inviting to the fans. Why should we be having booing out there in a game like that with those types of crowds? You know, there shouldn't be people booing. They're not booing the players either, right? So that shouldn't be happening.